Good evening and welcome to Opera Lounge at Check the Gate. I am Chen Reiss and tonight I am delighted to host one of the most interesting and versatile singers of our time. American star soprano Angel Blue will join us any minute from New Jersey.
Hi, can you hear me?
I hear you very well and I see you very well and you are gorgeous.
Awesome.
And I'm
Thank
very
you.
excited to talk with you tonight.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm trying to give you a nice background, even though it's backwards, but I'm happy to see you, Ken.
It looks lovely. How are you feeling?
Thank you. Good, really good, actually. I've just been lazy hanging around the house, so just enjoying the time off, really, but doing really well. And you?
Very well, thank you. Where were you supposed to be now? Where were you supposed to be performing at the moment?
What is this? This is actually right now would be my last week off, and it would be the following week. So it would be next week that I would be driving down to Philadelphia to sing the Beethoven Ninth Symphony. So we all know that everything has been canceled, so I'm not doing that.
Okay, but great to have you with us. Angel.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, you're so gorgeous, and when you were
Thank
very
you.
young, you won a beauty contest. You were Miss Hollywood.
Yes, I did.
And you could have chosen a career as a top model or as a film star or as a TV star, yet you chose the hard way and you chose to be an opera singer, which, as we all know, it's very demanding physically,
Yes.
mentally, and it's a profession that requires a lot of commitment.
Yes.
So what made you choose that path?
I think it was just, it's just my passion. It's just something that I really love to do. And I don't know. I think that it was just always calling me. I think opera has been calling me since I was a little girl, really. And I had a lot of paths to get to where I am today. But for sure, I would definitely say that there is something very special about being an opera singer. And, if the other opportunities presented themselves again, I wouldn't shun them. But I always felt that there was a pulling for me to be an opera singer. So I think that's why I stayed, because I love it so much. I really do enjoy singing.
Was there anybody that inspired you to become an opera singer, that was a role model or that pushed you in that direction?
Yeah, my dad. My dad was the biggest, my biggest supporter. And even though he's passed away, he died in 2006, but he's still my biggest supporter in my heart. He was the one that always said that I could sing and that I could do anything that I wanted to do, that it was possible. And so because of him, I really started to believe more and more in myself. And he gave me voice lessons and would teach me different arias and art songs when I was just a little girl. So I think that foundation, having that was really special for me, because I still have that today, even though he's not here. I still have those memories to keep me going. So he was my biggest supporter.
And he was also your voice teacher.
He was also my voice teacher. He was my voice teacher for, I want to say, until I was about 14 years old. So I studied with him for quite some time.
Wow. So you started very young. You started to sing at a very young age.
Yes. At 6 years old was my first voice lesson.
Oh my God.
6. Yes. At 6 years old was my first voice lesson. And then I sang my first solo when I was 8 years old. I sang, "Come on to him, all ye that labor," from the Handel's Messiah, but it was a children's version. So yeah. I've been singing my whole life. That's really what I know.
And it appears to me that the concept of Fach system, voice category,
yes.
doesn't really apply to you, because you are the only singer I know who sings Mimi on the one hand and Lulu on the other hand. And you sing gospel, and you
I
sing
sing gospel.
crossover, and
Yes.
it just seems to me like the palette of roles that you sing is incredible. So I
Thank
wanted to
you.
ask you if you do you place the voice in a different place, or do you warm up differently before you have to sing a role like Mimi, for example, which requires more rich sound in the middle voice, or Lulu, which requires agility and brilliant top?
No, actually, I don't really think of, I don't think of placement or anything as being different. I don't think of technique as being different either. I think it's all really the same thing. And, and what I mean by the same thing is everybody has to, at some point, will know their voice just by their voice. I know right now that if I were to try to sing Turandot, that would be foolish, because that's not something that I can do. But within the confines of my own voice, I know what I can and what I cannot do. And so with that, I feel like I'm never really changing anything. When I sing gospel, the only difference is I just sort of pull back on the vibrato. I pull back on this, on the amount that I'm giving. It's sort of like a light switch. In the room that I'm in, we have a dimmer on our light. So right now the lights are at full blast. And so if I want to just be a little bit softer, I just bring the light down. And I think it's the same thing for the voice. It's not like the wiring in the room has to change, So what as a singer doesn't have to change. What changes is how you're giving it off, how much you're giving or how much you're keeping, I think.
Yes, that's a great way to explain it, actually. And
Oh,
and
cool.
when you sing crossover, it's the same way.
Yes, yes. I don't really change anything. I don't think that anything is different. I find it all the same. I think the only thing that would be different is just the fact that it's a different style.
I see.
But, I'm still thinking about my breath. I'm still thinking about, not straining myself in my throat. I'm thinking about, giving emotion and making people feel something. I want to feel something too. So those are the most important things to me. Of course, all of that comes because I believe I have a good technique, and I hope that it stays that way.
And speaking about technique, believe it or not, but in the past 24 hours, I received quite a lot of questions from singers,
oh my gosh,
from young singers, that they want
okay,
they want to know about your practice.
awesome.
Yeah, so about your practice routine. Like, do you practice daily? Do you still take voice lessons? Do you still do scales?
I do. I take voice lessons all the time. I'm always on Skype with my teacher. I'm always talking to other singers about singing and about technique. And I talk to everybody. I don't just talk to sopranos. I would say, sometimes I spend more time talking to baritones about technique, because I think, baritones are sort of like a freak of nature because they have this low register, but then they have that weird falsetto, So I spend a lot of time talking to my guy friends about how they sing. I do a whole lot of listening. I listen to everybody, even if it's somebody that I think, okay, maybe I would never say that I wouldn't learn from someone, but I listen to everybody, and just to understand more of the style, just to understand how they sing something. When I sang my first Tosca last summer, I must have listened to at least 30 different ladies sing the role.
Wow.
At least. And that's just because I'm learning, and I have it in my score where certain ladies did certain things. And all of that to me is studying. All of that to me is learning more about the repertoire, more about myself as a singer, learning again within the confines of my own voice, what I can do, what I can't do right now, what I need to work on, what's really strong in my voice, things like that. My dad used to say, I talk about him a lot, but that's because he's always in my heart. He's just always right there. But he used to tell me, Angel, don't ever get tired of learning. He said, you should never get tired of learning. And I don't ever want to lose that. I always want to be just like a sponge, and I want to learn more and more and more and more as I can.
That's amazing. And who's your favorite Tosca, if I may ask?
I have several. My favorite Tosca, well, I feel like I learned the role from Catherine Malfitano, because she was there and she was beautiful, just kind of like guiding me through it. So I would say Catherine Malfitano, of course, Maria Callas. I like the recording of Leontine Price and Franco Corelli. I think it's at the Met in, I want to say it's really early, like it might be 50 something, or it might be 60s. I think it's 60s, 1960s. That's my favorite recording. But I mean, there's so many. Genia Dimitrova is fantastic. I don't know. I mean, the list goes on and on. You know, I have a lot of favorites.
So speaking of colors, for example,
Yes.
do you, when you learn a new role or when you are on stage, would you go the extra mile and like really get into it emotionally, even to the point where it might make you sacrifice technically or
Oh,
avoid
I think I do that
the
every,
limit?
yes.
Yes.
I think I do that every time I'm on stage. And I think I do that a bit every time I'm on stage because, I mean, you know, we're going through this crisis right now where none of us are working.
Yes.
And this right now is like, not that it's a performance to me, but this is an outlet. This is a way for me to talk about my art. And that emotion that we get to release on stage is, it's pertinent to being a good artist. And it's a big part of me as a person also. So absolutely, I think every time I'm on stage, I go that extra mile. I've sounded really weird on stage. I've made a really weird noises on stage before because I've been so emotional. And I think I don't see a problem with that. You know, I don't think that's a bad thing. I know a lot of times in opera, people can be very, you know, in the United States, we say that we cross our T's and we dot our I's. It just means that people are very specific, you know, and very careful. And, you know, this is art. And I think one of the things about being an artist is to be able to know your limits, but also be able to go to a place where sometimes you're even surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
As the artist. Yeah.
And someone just asked on the screen, what is your daily routine a day of a concert? So what do you do? What do you don't do?
What I don't do on the day of a concert is I don't stress out about anything.
Okay.
Nothing.
Great
When
advice.
people are, you know, I don't stress out about anything. I usually leave for a concert or the opera. Let's say the opera starts at 6:30, 7:30. If it starts at 7:30, I would have left my house probably around 5. Even if it means that I'm sitting around for 1 hour or 2 hours even, because it makes sense to just be there, to be relaxed and to not be stressed out. So on the day of a show, the biggest thing for me is just to have no stress. I've had people say crazy things to me on the day of a show and also be in traffic and whatever, but I just don't let it stress me out. Not on the day of a show. Now the day before and the day after, it's different. Usually I take my time in warming up. I'll wake up and usually wake up late. I sleep a lot the night before a show. I might sleep anywhere from 8 to 12 hours like a bear in hibernation, you know. And then the day of the show, I usually wake up, I do some buzzing, I'll go light buzzing. Then I do some exercises with my breath. And I do things like, you can't see it, but it's just to get the flow of my breath going. And I usually watch a show, maybe an old TV show or something, just to relax myself. I don't look at the music. That's terrible to say, but it's true. I don't look at the music because the last time I looked at the music before I went on to sing on stage, I messed that part up.
Wow.
So I look at the music the night before, but I won't look at it on the day of a show. Unless a coach comes into the dressing room and says, hey, this part needs this or that. Then I listen, of course, but I will not look at the music. I will just ask them to play it for me. And, you know, thankfully I've had a lot of nice coaches do that for me.
Great. Angel, in the past 6 years, you performed in 35 countries.
Yes.
Is there any place which was very special for you, very meaningful, memorable, any performance that you can say, oh my God, I feel my dad was there with me, or
Oh,
some piece
yeah.
that was really special?
Yeah, I think for me that would be, I've had so many, but okay, so this is very strange. I sang at La Scala last year, Teatro alla Scala, and I was doing La Traviata, Violetta, and I went to get some water from the water fountain. Yeah, the drinking fountain. Oh, excuse me. Okay, to get some water from the drinking fountain, and I had just finished the rehearsal, and as I was walking down the I don't know, the hallway to get this water, it was the weirdest thing because I could feel like my dad was standing behind me. And for some reason, I just felt like he was like, "Good job, Angel." You know, that was a great feeling, a great experience. But I've had many times where I felt like, I think every time I sing is a very special occasion. But for sure, that one was definitely important to me. Another time actually recently happened was at the Metropolitan Opera. It was the live in HD performance of Porgy and Bess on February the 1st. And when I walked out on stage, um, the audience, they were standing up, but they stood, even more of them stood up. And then the Met brought on these lights, and I could see all the people in the house, and it was just so overwhelming to experience that. You know, it was an awesome feeling. And I felt like my dad was proud, you know.
I'm sure he was.
Sorry, can you hear me?
I hear you. And
Okay.
I'm sure
Yes.
he was. And everybody's writing now on the screen how amazing you were in
Oh,
Porgy.
thank you. Thank
And
you. I'm trying to see, you know, I can't hear you so well. Let me just see one thing.
okay,
I think I missed. Oh dear. Sorry. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, I can kind of hear you, but that's fine. I'll just come closer to the phone. Sorry, go ahead.
I hear you. I see you're very emotional. I'm sorry if I
Yes,
made
I'm
you.
always emotional. I'm an emotional person. It's hard to hear you though.
Um,
I think
can
it's
you hear?
my phone
Shall I
though.
get closer to the microphone, maybe?
No, no, I think it's my phone. I think it's because I just cleared a phone call. So let me just try. I'm going to try one thing here.
Okay.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Don't worry. We are all learning.
I know now we have to, as singers, now we have to learn about technology. Isn't that fun?
Exactly. 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know how to do a live video, but look at me today.
Okay, well, I can kind of hear you, so go ahead.
Angel, did you prepare a treat for our guests?
Sure.
Tell me.
Um, well, I was thinking of Amazing Grace because of all of the things that are going on right now, if that's okay.
Brilliant. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see.
Wow. Really, really amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Angel,
so much. Thank you for your time.
you are gorgeous. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us to our opera lounge in Check the Gate.
Thank you.
You have a beautiful soul, you have a beautiful voice, and you are a gorgeous girl.
Thank you.
Stay healthy, stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you, you too.
We all love you. Our audience is absolutely mesmerized by your performance. So bravissima and good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.